Okie dokie, welcome. Week 5. Here we go. Fueling for Success with Food, Part 2, my favorite subject. And, you know, as always with the webinars and mentoring, I love to take a look at supporting your business, but also at supporting you on your own health and wellness and making sure you are walking the walk and talking the talk and feeling fantastic. Because when you feel great, it's just so much easier to cascade health and wellness to everyone else. So this is our part 2 of food for as fuel. And we're going to do a little bit of a recap of the part 1, which is where we're actually going to start in a second. So we'll go through some of those points. Then I have loads more information on how to fuel yourself and get organized in part 2. And there's going to be tasks and actions throughout this presentation for you to do and get in your diary straight away to help everything move forward, which is wonderful. So if you have any questions, and just unmute yourself and ask away, but I'll do a little Q&A at the end, which might be easier to ask them all at once. So write them down and we can go from there. Great. So let's start with a recap of food is fuel. Now, in our last set of webinar mentoring sessions, I think it was number 5, and we did 12 in that one, in that series, and it was the 5th one. So go back and watch that, because if you rewatch that webinar, which the link is in the private Facebook group, then you can get some more tips. But just as a tiny recap of what we chatted about things to do before you start. And one of those things was defining your goals and intentions actually around why do you want to eat healthy food. We're actually going to relook at that today, and we're going to be redefining those goals. How's that? You also have an Eat to Be Fit download. Hopefully you've all downloaded that, because you can use this as recipes, or as in number 4, you can make your own recipes. You can, get different cookbooks. I mean, it's just amazing. You just need to Google something now and you can get some great recipes. So you're never in a shortage. What we tend to be in a shortage of, and we're going to talk a lot about challenges today, are certain things around challenges and around recipes. So we will brainstorm some of those today as well. And then we also talked about shopping lists, because I think I might be like you, or you like me, and I get caught at the end of the aisle with all the special bargains, especially if I take my children shopping. Oh my goodness. On Sunday, I was dropping Hannah off at the train station. She's my 20-year-old. She was going out with her friend for the day, and she goes, oh yeah, can we just drop in to Asda, which is attached to Bournemouth train station, and can I just get a meal to go? I said, yeah, we'll get a meal to go. And just like what Nikki said, all the stationery was on sale. So what happens? I buy a whiteboard, I buy this and that, and on and on. I buy her meal to go, she gets on the train, and I bring all the other stuff back. It's just so easily done. It's awful, isn't it? So shopping lists is the way to go, or online shopping, or refuse to go in grocery shopping with your family, one or the other. So yeah, it happens to us all, but shopping lists will definitely keep you on budget. We're going to talk about budget meals today as well. So let's take a look, first of all, about redefining your goals. And I always talk about goals, and I think probably in every session, because we do know what we want, but if it's not there, our focus goes. So redefining why you want to fuel properly from a business point of view, and this is around your task here as well. Okay, look, it could be something as simple as, oh yeah, I don't want to eat as much junk food. But it can be, okay, I want to put just, proper fuel in the tank to help me perform. I want to eat real food. I want to just eat food that comes from nature. I want to, it can be so many different types of things. But the main task here is really important around redefining those goals, because I want you to write down 3 health goals that in areas that you properly want to fuel. So for example, do you want number 1, mental clarity? Do you want number 2, better sleep? Do you want number 3, weight loss? Do you want number 4, more energy? Do you want number 5, more focus? Do you want 6, even moods? Do you want 7, a higher mood vibration? Or do you want 8, anti-aging? You just want to look good on Zoom with your hair, skin, and nails. Whatever it is, I want you to write it down now. Because throughout this presentation, if you have that focus and that intention, you're going to hear knowledge that will help those 3 health goals. Because as you know, I always give you so much information, right? And sometimes there's just too much information. But if you narrow it down to 3 areas, and I'll repeat those: mental clarity, better sleep, weight loss, more energy, more focus, even moods, higher moods and vibration, or anti-aging, then when we're talking about stuff, either ask questions in those areas so we can pinpoint it and you go away with an action plan, or I can answer those questions at the end. Okay, so redefining your goals is super duper duper important tonight. Okay, next task is scheduling time in your planner. Look, we all know a well-actioned plan reminds us of what we need to do to stay well and work well. And those details we can then pass, and this is important, we can then pass to our family, our coworkers, our friends, our suppliers, our mentors, whoever, so they can help support you on this journey as well, okay? So you need to create this awareness and develop this kind of working style, because when you know your stress triggers, and a lot of them are food related, yes, when you know your responses to those stresses, which are food related. Oh, I need a glass of wine. Oh, I need chocolate. Oh, I'm just going to go and make another coffee. Whatever it is, it enables us to communicate these, because when people see you doing them, okay, they can flag them up. They say, really? Another cup of coffee, Barbara? How many's that been today? It's like, oh yeah, that is my go-to if I'm busy. All those kinds of things. So if you plan in the task here, I'm going to give you a task for almost every slide. The task here is to put aside 30 minutes a week, okay, to do your menu planning. But we're going to go through some challenges as we move on here, because the menu planning might be a little bit bigger than you actually think, okay? But if you don't schedule the time in, then how are you even going to do this? And this is important, right? All the important things are scheduled in your diary. So it really makes a difference, when you schedule everything in the diary to make sure that you are, there. Okay, so number 2 are those weekly meal planning. So yes, we're going to put the time in the diary not only to meal plan, but you need to take a look at your stressors and kind of troubleshoot at the same time. But weekly meal planning is something you already do, but it's being strategic around it as well. So not only are you looking at recipes, you want to create a place to hold all those recipes and keep it really simple. Is it a ring binder? Is it online? Is it, in the kitchen in a cupboard so you can easily pull things out? Or not only you can pull it out, someone else in the family can do it. One of our troubleshootings we're going to do today is what happens if you're ill, right? These are one of the things, does it all go to pot? No, it's like you've got a plan, okay? All of this stops the brain from going into overwhelm, and you can actually crack on with the other things that you're doing. So again, you can ask your family, your partner, whoever, to help you with that. But what's especially good in this meal planning time is really starting with what everybody likes to eat. And cooking for a family, as we're going to talk about today, can also be quite challenging as well. Now, this one's going to sound crazy, but actually this is what I do all the time. I go onto my phone, and I, let's open it up here. I'm going to show you what I do. I go to the weather app. Yeah, I do. With my meal planning, I go to the weather app. So I take a look because I figure, okay, the next week is actually going to be sunny, cloudy. That is going to completely change my meal plan choices. If it was rainy and cold, I'm going to be looking for different food. Okay, so you really want to take a look at that because, I don't know, do you want to go down to the beach and have one of those as a barbecue? Yeah, all these kinds of things. Put it in your weekly meal planning and stick to them because it just helps the whole thing. You also might want to look at themed nights, like a soup night, a pasta night, an Indian night, a Mexican night, an Italian night. Theming your days of the week, especially if you're working around kids, just makes it so much easier because you'll be like, okay, we need something in the soup night. What does everyone want? And it creates these beautiful boundaries, especially if they don't like soup. It's like, well, tough. Tuesday night soup night, we're having soup, or you don't eat. I mean, it's pretty simple. It sounds simple, but you need time to plan it. And within that planning, as something else I always talk about, is the communication. So again, the communication between everybody, because in our house, I have ring binders with Polly Pockets. And if I find recipes, I'll rip them out of magazines, I'll print them off, I'll whatever, I put them in there. I might be writing them out myself. They're on pieces of scribbled paper. So, it's something that everyone can look through and say, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Or I really like that meal. And they can make their own. I mean, one of the gifts I gave to the kids every time they went away to university is I would make them a cookbook. And I would have it bound. I'm just grabbing something similar. I'd have them bound like this, and all the recipes would just be in a bound cookbook. It had their name on it. It had specific things that they really liked, and it is also a little bit of a memento, but it gets them into a really good regime. So again, you're paying it forward. You're really passing on your skills to make sure that everyone is meal planning properly as well. And then from your meal planning, you need to choose a shopping day and a shopping list. So, for me, do I always choose one day? I try to. We try to choose one day or an early morning or a late evening, which is how we like to do it. But the list is definitely there. And I keep my shopping list as well on Alexa. So if I run out of something, or if somebody else is cooking in the kitchen and we run out of something, we just get her to put it on the shopping list. And so I just collect the shopping list from there, which is great. So we don't run out of store cupboard things. And then nobody can complain when they say, oh, we've run out of this. It's like, well, who used it that last? Someone didn't put it on the shopping list. And it just, again, starts these wonderful, healthy, time-saving, healthy habits, which is great. Let's take a look at number 3. Now let's take a look at choosing, because you really do need to be choosing a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, snacks, and drinks. And making sure you have everything written down and you have, done everything. Because if you don't, this is when mindless snacking, mindless eating comes in, overeating, portion control goes out the window, and your budget goes out the window as well. So it is super important to make sure you have something for everything and everything is there. And, we're going to talk about, using your freezer correctly and making sure that you are rotating different types of foods, different types of store cupboard ingredients, and using things up. There is nothing worse than at the end of the week, and stuff that you bought has gone off. Today I threw red grapes out because they were stuck at the back of the fridge, and they had, and they freeze, because the fridge has like different temperatures, and they had frozen and they got moldy, and oh my gosh, I was just like, really? Do you know what? There's £3 gone, and so if it's written down, number one, you're not going to go to the supermarket and buy another snack that you don't need. But number two, you can actually say when anyone is hungry, oh, mommy, what is there for a snack? Or, honey, I'm hungry. What can I have when I, finish cycling, kind of thing, as my husband says. It's like, right, look on the meal planner. All the snacks are there, and all the snacks are still in the fridge or the wherever they are. So if it's all written down, again, it's out of the brain. You can then free up that brain space to do work. But not only that, you can look at the recipes that you've chosen, right? Go back up to your list. Are all the recipes for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and drinks for mental clarity, for better sleep, for weight loss, for more energy, for more focus, even moods, higher mood vibration, or even anti-aging? Because if they're not, then you need to change them. So we are now starting to strategically meal plan and fueling for reaching your goals and fueling for success. So, on the weeks that I might be doing a mini cleanse, then again, those recipes are completely different, not only for me, but they might be for the family as well. And you can take a look at everything. So it's super, super important that we do that. Okay. We're going to start getting into some challenges now, because there's quite a few of these, and especially when we're working. And one of the biggest challenges is when you're on the road, or you're going out to a meeting. And this is always difficult. So here's a few tips in this area. And it's just a few because they change all the time, or I keep adding to them. But the main thing is planning ahead. So not only when you're doing your weekly planning, if you know that you have one day on the road, then you can, make a little bento box, if you know what a bento box is. So after living in Japan, little bento boxes are like Tupperware, but they're stacked, and they have lots of little compartments. So, for me, if I'm on the go, because, I don't like to say I'm a picky eater. I will eat anything, but I'm really picky about quality, and I'm really picky about fueling for success. So for me, stopping off at a road services is a flippin' nightmare. I'm really happy to stop off for a coffee, because I can't go wrong with a black Americano, right? Well, you can, but not normally. So, I don't want to be, again, I don't want my brain to have to think about, oh, well, I wonder what food they're going to have at that services. No, I'm in charge of it. I've got it ready, and I know it's fueling for the work that I actually have to do. So I am definitely planning ahead for that. And how do I plan ahead? I cook in batches. Like today, I cooked rice to go with different things. In my family, everyone eats something different. So, one person's having broccoli, the next one's, they pulled out like a cauliflower curry to go with the rice. The other one is having pasta sauce with rice. Yeah, if that's what she wants, so she can have pasta sauce with rice as long as she's got broccoli on the side. I don't care. We're all eating different stuff, which we're going to talk about that challenge in a minute. But I made a big batch of rice, and I've frozen it down into individual portions as well. So then I don't have to cook rice the next time someone wants it. It's in the freezer, pull it out, ready to go. And do you know what's really great? If you're on the go, you can use frozen food, because if you don't have to heat it up, or if you don't mind eating it cold, you can do it. Or if you're going to an office, take it frozen and heat it up in the microwave if they have a microwave there. So there's so many different things that you can do. You don't have to eat like sandwiches, yeah? And it can be still exciting and fueling for exactly what you want it to fuel for. Because my next tip here is you want it to be nutrient dense. And so containers really help with this. Little individual containers. They can have some healthy snacks in there. They can have little portions of fruit. They can have your main meal. They can have afternoon snacks. They can have breakfast if you want it. They can have a smoothie. You know, anything that you want to take on the road, take it with you. You are in control. You are in charge of your own health and wellness. Don't leave it up to road services, because you're just going to be eating inferior food at escalated prices, which is just going to demoralize you in a way, because it demoralizes me. You know, and that's really what you want to avoid. Next challenge is cooking for the family while you're working as well. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, you know, this is tough, but I've got some really good things here, because number one is setting some ground rules, okay? And we set a lot of ground rules around food. Not you know, we are flexible with those, but the main things are there. You know, eating together when we can, knowing when someone's going to be late for dinner, you know, and if I have to cook for everyone's food allergies, we tend to have a lot of food allergies in our house. You know, my husband's allergic to milk and fish. You know, I have one child who's vegan, but carnivore on the weekends. I have the other one, which is the opposite, which is carnivore during the week, and then, you know, vegan on the weekends. And then there's me, who I like to stay gluten-free and dairy-free. You can imagine meal planning in our house is really quite interesting. But if we have those set ground rules that everybody knows, and we meal plan together and we theme our days, then we know on a Tuesday is soup day. Whether you're having soup for lunch or soup for dinner, that's it. If you don't like it, you can make your own, or you can go out with your friends and eat. But this is what it is. And it just cuts so many different things. But the main thing is that actually everybody enjoys it, because we've made a boundary around it and we know what it is. And so there's no other expectation around it. It's always going to be a soup Tuesday, you know, and so on. Taco Wednesday or Taco Tuesday, whatever you want to do. Set some really realistic goals around this. So for us, we have, you know, our goals are food variety. Our goals are staying in budget. Our goals are every, you know, for sort of 3 days once a month, and we've just had it. Eat up. We're going to eat everything up. We're going to eat everything in the freezer. Whether you want that vegetable soup that's been in there for 3 months or not, we're going to eat it up. You know, these are our kind of goals that we have. We know that they're there. They're in the diary, and it's just something we do all the time. And it's really good habits to always have. We all have different health goals in the family, so therefore we try to keep everyone accountable with their health goal as well. I'm not saying that we don't slip from that, but every once in a while we do call each other out, and we own up when we slip up as well. So I think that's also really important, because when you own up, if you slip up from your goal setting, then it gets you back on track much quicker. Okay. And it's okay to slip up. Yeah, we're human, right? So, you know, I also don't want to give the kids in the family to have hang-ups around making a mistake with food. That's the last thing. But, you know, again, I still want boundaries at the same time. So that communication must be really open. We're pretty flexible with time and place of where we eat, although we do love to always sit and eat together sometime on a Sunday, if we can. But, you know, during the week, because everyone's working and doing different stuff, the healthy food is there and ready. Everyone has a plan, and who's ever going to be able to prepare, it's great. And it's wonderful, because even the girls, you know, the kids, when they're home for holidays, they'll pitch in. They know what it's actually like. On our busy nights, we keep it fast and we keep it easy. And again, this comes back to meal planning. It could be something that I pre-prepared or half pre-prepared. Like I will be pulling the rice out of the freezer to go with, I don't know, something else that might be a leftover, like leftover broccoli or leftover stir fry. So, again, keep it fast on your busy evenings and get everybody involved in that as well. Going back to kind of focusing on one another in the family and supporting those goals and making sure it's enjoyable and everyone is enjoying the meals and enjoying the meal plan. Because cooking for a family or even just for yourself or one or two can be challenging, to say the least, at times. And we're going to get into a few other challenges that will come up around cooking for a family or just for yourself as well. And one of those big ones is food fatigue. And this is when you're just absolutely sick of the food that you're having. It's like, oh God, not another Soup Tuesday, and then change it. Yeah, Taco Tuesday is now it. We try to keep really seasonal with this if we can. And it's really good. Seasonal eating, which I'm going to talk about next on a budget, is good as well. We love visiting, food markets. So once a month in our community in Westbourne, in Bournemouth, there is a little mini food festival. And so there's some street food. It's actually this Friday night before the fireworks, and we're going to go down. There's street food, there's food stalls, there's local suppliers, that make their own chili sauce or gin or whatever, and this gets us out of food fatigue. So it's really important to switch it up. Okay, so maybe you want to every month, or for us, it's about every 3 months, we will retheme everything because we've just gone through an Italian theme. And one of my daughters said to me, Mommy, I am pasted out. And I was like, yeah, I agree with you. There's, again, we'll batch cook pasta sauce. There's 2 more left in the freezer. And so I said, okay, well, you're away this weekend. So I said, we'll eat the pasta. And actually we ate one last night because we were going to go down to the beach. And so we decided, oh, what's an easy thing to take to the beach and have dinner? Great, we'll cook the pasta sauce and have it with, a little bit of pasta and some vegetables. And we took it in a little container and ate it down the beach, which is great. But, you must get out of this food fatigue. When you get into food fatigue, this is when you start snacking mindlessly. Sugar will creep in because you're not eating properly, you're not fueling for success, so your energy has dipped. All those bad habits come back in. It is a killer. Honestly, you start adding more salt to your food, you start adding more oil to your food, you're trying to make things taste good, all this kind of stuff. That's when you just need to stop and you just need to say, right, we are going to do different themes. We're going to really, mix it up. Sometimes when we've had food fatigue is when I'll do a juice cleanse. And I'll say like, right, I really need to just pop out of this regular routine that we're in. We're going to have a 1 or 2 day juice cleanse and smoothie cleanse, and we're just going to clear the decks and decide what we want to do. And within that time, we are deciding. And actually, when you do a little bit of a cleanse, it really reawakens your taste buds. And once those taste buds are reawakened, actually food just tastes better anyway. So it's a really, really good thing to do. If you find yourself going into food fatigue, switch it around really quickly. So another challenge here is eating when not only you're ill, but a family member is ill. And this can really throw things out, okay? This is a massive area. You want to, again, take a look at being really flexible in this area. If you're the one that's ill, this is when you really would have hoped that you'd put some healthy food in the freezer, because the types of things that you'll want to eat are those comfort foods. But if your comfort food is slightly unhealthy, then you're actually not going to recover from your illness quicker anyway. So, you know, for us, I have juice shots that stay in the freezer. I also have some healthy soup in the freezer, and I rotate those. Again, we use them up, but I replace them in case someone is ill, because then I can either pull them out and say, right, we're just gonna, you know, instead of pulling the juicer out, I just pull a couple of things out of the freezer, because you can knock illnesses out as well. If you feel like you're coming down with a cold, then you should have, you know, food in your cupboard and in your freezer and in your fridge that can knock illness out. Yes, you can use supplementation in this area, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about food. So what I want everyone to do is have some juice shots ready, have some good soups ready. Make sure that they are the, you know, highest nutrient count that you can have. You know, beetroot is great. Beetroot shots freeze really easy. Lemon and ginger shots freeze really easy as well. So if you feel like a little niggle coming down, sometimes you only have about 6 to 8 hours in your day to pull that back, alarm your immune system with flooding it with nutrients. And by that time, if you don't do it in that 6 hours, when you feel the little niggle in the sore throat or the runny nose or just feeling peculiar, then you've lost it and illness will set in. So again, you have to be prepared for that. Taking care of someone else who's ill, again, working around how they're actually feeling, making sure that you're, you know, being attentive takes extra time. Therefore, you need quicker meals to prepare that are still nutrient dense. So those are challenges, and sometimes unforeseeable challenges, but to have those things on hand is great, which is why, again, you know, I post in some of my groups the juice cleanses by Junius, because these are great in times that you're busy. You might want to look at HelloFresh to have a delivery if you're busy or feeling ill, or, you know, write down some or take some pictures of some really good healthy meals that are ready meals at the supermarket. Because if someone else has to cook for you and you're just like, oh, just don't know what I want, you're like, wait a second, I've actually printed off, you know, 6 ready meals that I like in this case, hand it to someone or order it online, and it's done and it's there. Just takes it out of your brain, lets the body heal, you know, and for you to have a little bit of a break. We've got some questions here. It looks like my dog. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Cool. Right, next challenge is challenge on a budget. Okay, this is the challenge, because I tell you what, you know, especially if you're cooking for a family, that can just like be absolutely astronomical here. Making a menu. Hello?
Can you make the screen bigger? Because it's not full screen.
No, because it's not on PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
It's on a PDF. And so I don't. Sorry, I
Okay.
can't.
All right. That's okay.
Sorry. So so making things on a budget is you know, again, one of the big challenges. So you want to make a menu, because when you decide the recipes, whether it's, you know, for your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever, and you're going to the grocery store, you have a plan and you know how much money you're spending, and you're not going to waste it on those end of aisle sort of marketing campaigns that get you to buy either a 2-for-1, so you're spending more money. It might save in the long run, it depends what it is, because normally end of aisle stuff is things you do not need or are unhealthy and not natural. So you really do need to be very, very careful if you are on a budget, and really plan it out. You can also take a look at planning your meals around food that's on sale. What special offers are in the shop? The great thing about online shopping is that it'll give those special offers. You know, for me, I have different apps. Just going on to my apps here. What's the one? I've got a little plus, and so I get a notification when you open up the little plus of oh wow, look what's on 20% offer is on, 7 different items this week. It's like, okay, do I need any of those items? If I do, maybe I'll shop at Lidl this week. If I don't, I'll go to Sainsbury's. If not, if I'm at Asda, because I'm dropping or picking up the girls at Bournemouth Station, then I'll drop into there. I'll take a look to see what they have, and work around those. Store flyers, newspaper cuttings, inserts, coupons on site. You are going to be surprised what is available to you when you're actually looking for the sales that are there. Another tip that I have in this area is actually having a meatless day, whether you're vegetarian or not. When you take a look at legumes and beans and lentils and dried peas, these are really good proteins, but they're so much cheaper than meat and fish. And you can get some really good tasty recipes, black bean couscous salad, or sweet chili stir fry, or something like that. Peanut butter is another one. You can do a lot of things with peanut butter, making desserts. You can make peanut butter ice cream. You can make peanut butter brownies. You name it. And you know what? It's nutritious if you buy a good one. And I buy the Whole Earth, and I buy the big tubs, because we make a lot of snacks with peanut butter. And we add protein powders to them and different types of nuts and seeds. And I make them into little protein balls and roll them in coconut and things. And they're brilliant. They're amazing snacks. Just like Deliciously Ella snacks, but at about 1/8 of the price. These are the great things around it. I mean, I can go and buy Deliciously Ella protein balls at, £2.50 for 5, or I can make 25 of them for £2.50. So again, taking a look at that and seeing what you can do. Another thing is check what's in your fridge, check what's in your freezer, check expiry dates of what is in the pantry. And if you can use up those store cupboard things, be really creative. It's like, whoa, I've got, sushi ginger, and whatever. What can I do with the sushi ginger? Well, you can either have sushi, you can use the sushi ginger in a stir fry, you can make a dip, you can make sweet chili sauce with it. There's so many different things. Make something else with it. Enjoy your grains. Grains doesn't have to just be rice. I love using barley. I love using gluten-free couscous as well, which is made of corn, which is really nice. And again, they can just bulk out different types of soups and salads, really. And so taking a look at grains when you're on a budget is a really good idea. There's so much you can do with barley, and it's so tasty, especially in a soup. But also making a beautiful kind of barley salad, or using Bulgar wheat as well, and making tabbouleh and things. It's really great. Now, if you are cooking on a budget, you really do want to take a look at some of those specialty ingredients. So, for example, if you're cooking some Asian food, sometimes some of the ingredients are a little bit more expensive. Or if you're cooking Moroccan food and you need to buy, preserved lemons or something like that. Use fresh lemons. They're much cheaper. Do you really need the preserved lemons? Not really. You can use fresh lemons and grate the lemon rind and be creative around that as well. So making sure that if you do need any special ingredients, that you are using them up as well. Cooking on a budget is wonderful using seasonal foods, because number one, it's in abundance. Number two, seasonal produce is normally cheaper in a supermarket. So you'll want to take a look at that. Cooking in bulk and using the leftovers, either as extra meals or cooking something else from the leftovers, is an interesting way to do stuff. So for example, maybe a Sunday roast you're making, and if you're going to do something simple like carrots and turnip with the Sunday roast, and you have them all mashed up, and you've made too much of them, well, the next day you could do you make a soup from it, or something else. There's so many different things, and I'm sure you're doing this already. But for those of you who aren't and re-watching this on a replay, again, budgeting is something that you'll want to do. There's so many other things, making extras in other ways. So for example, if you're shopping and there's 2-for-1 offers on, I don't know, like a ground beef. So if you see a ground beef and maybe you're going to make a lasagna, it's like, okay, make extra lasagna, eat one, and freeze the whole extra lasagna. And this is also where portion control really comes in as well. So making sure that you're having the right portions, but not eating too much. And just remember, always meal plan around a budget with food that your family enjoys, and get them to encourage them to try new things. But there's no nutrition if it's chucked in the bin, and it's not good for your budget if it's chucked in the bin either. So you do need to be careful with that. Okay, so that brings us to the end. I'm just going to recap really, really quickly. So we took a look at, which I will take it off I will stop the share and bring us all back. Hello, everybody. So again, we took a look at everything that we did in the part 1. So you can go back and read that. Your task was to put 30 minutes in the diary for you to do your meal planning once a week. That is your task 1. Your task 2 was to take a look around setting realistic goals around how do you want to feel. So I wanted you to choose 3 health goals and meal plan around those 3 health goals. It could be mental clarity, better sleep, weight loss, more energy, more focus, even moods, higher vibration, or anti-aging. And making sure that everything that you're doing in the week reflects those goals as well. So once you've done all that, you're going to be fueling for success, because you're going to be choosing absolutely correctly, which is great. So I'm going to open it up to the floor. If you have any questions or any questions on superfoods to help any of your goals or anything else, then I'm happy to answer your questions.
What sort of foods would you eat for mental clarity?
For mental clarity, you need to take a look at hydration, number 1, for mental clarity. So making sure that the drinks that you're having your 2 liters of water a day in between your meals. A lot of things for mental clarity are dumping the junk. So no sugar, no wheat, no dairy. They break down very, very quickly into sugars and can throw your blood sugar levels off. When your blood sugar levels roller coaster, okay, it affects your mental clarity, because when you have that energy dip, then boom, your focus and your mental clarity and concentration goes out the window. So you might want to eat a little bit often, and you might want to also look at intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting can really help with mental clarity when you get into a regime with it, but it takes a good week or so before you get into the regime. And then there's superfoods that you can add in. I mean, berries are really great for brain food, super great. So, blueberries, if you're going to snack, blueberries are really good. Those hedgerow berries are going to be free soon, right? Get out. I mean, we've already got our regular spots in the Purbex that we go hedgerow picking, because you have to walk to them, so there's no exhaust fumes, and there it's really clean, beautiful air out there, and we just literally get bags of them, and I put them in the freezer. And they are just fantastic. Or I juice them down and I do different things. So that is amazing brain food. We are getting into brain food season. Good question. Anything else?
Barbara, I've seen you've posted something about banana bread, so I'm going to give that a go this week. And I do love peanut butter. I can eat it by the tubful. So I just need to make sure I don't have too much of it.
Okay, so there is peanut butter in that banana bread recipe.
Oh,
There's peanut butter. And what's really nice is I use peanut butter because I don't put butter on my banana bread, but I'll put a little bit of peanut butter on top and it is amazing. What a fantastic afternoon snack. And there's coconut flour in there as well, Nikki, your favorite coconut
got
flour.
it. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
love that coconut. I could probably eat it on that on its own. So
I
I was going to ask about gluten-free bread.
yeah,
So I have bought some M&S gluten-free bread this week, and it was really nice. But it was, oh my gosh, so expensive, and the bread is like that big.
I know. I know.
So I must be
Welcome
able.
to my world.
Oh, so like, what tips can we have for making our own gluten-free bread?
Okay, the a gluten-free bread, making it on your own is really quite difficult because it just ends up like a rock.
Okay.
So I use oh, it's escaped my brain. Um, Not guar
I
gum.
use a company called AOB,
What do you use?
Artisan Breads online, but they're not cheap, but they do many different varieties, including yeast-free, sugar-free, wheat-free, gluten-free, but they're not cheap. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually,
AOB,
Nikki,
Artisan.
sorry, Lavinia, what
Oh,
I
so
find with gluten-free bread is, my problem with gluten-free bread is when you look in the supermarket, most of them seem to have about 20 ingredients in them. And I was always taught to believe that the more ingredients in a product you buy, the less healthy it's likely to be. And they're often ingredients that you wouldn't necessarily recognize. And it seems to be hard to find the better quality ones. But when you do, even if they're £3 or £4, because I still wouldn't eat them every day. And generally with a gluten-free bread, I would toast it,
Yeah.
is I would buy a loaf, take the couple of slices I might want for poached eggs on toast, and then put the rest in the freezer, because bread is brilliant at taking straight out the freezer and shoving in a toaster, and it's as if you
Yeah.
never froze it.
So that's what I've done. I had to hide it from my husband because I'd run out of his bread. That's why I went shopping last night, because I'd run out of his bread. I thought, oh my God, he's going to eat my bread. He can't have my bread. Not that I'm gluten intolerant, but I thought, well, I'll give it a go. But it's really tasty, and I thought, yeah. And to be fair, now I think about it, I used to work for a bread place. I'm going to contact them because I'm sure their tech people were getting more and more inquiries. They used to do all the milling for the flours for companies to do the gluten-free,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah,
what
I
they've
mean,
got.
gluten can cause that internal inflammation I often talk about, and that's the silent killer because we can't see that inflammation. So every time you do have gluten, it causes that inflammation. So it's not that I'm gluten intolerant. And there's so many myths around it as well. It's like, oh, why be gluten free? Because then you can't eat regular bread. It's like, no, that's not true. How stupid is that? I mean, show me the science with that. That's not how it works. But what people are seeing is when they are gluten free, then go back and have something with gluten, they're actually then recognizing that it does cause inflammation, and that's what sets their alarm bells going. But yeah, I mean, Tracy, those were great tips, and I do all of those. I think they're brilliant. You can make your own. The only one that I have made that has been successful gluten-free bread wise, besides the banana bread and stuff like that, is gluten-free focaccia bread.
Okay.
And so check out those recipes, work really well because they don't have to rise, and it freezes and toasts. So and it's really inexpensive because it uses corn flour as well, which is really quite interesting. So yeah, go from there. Good question.
Brilliant, thank you.
Anything else?
Do you know of a substitute instead of yeast?
A substitute instead of yeast for what?
Well, if I wanted to try and make bread, I can't have yeast, so I can't make bread.
Yeah. No. Yeast free. No. I will have a think. but I don't think, I mean, it won't rise. Not that that's an issue. Um, the focaccia bread, I do use yeast, but yeah, I
Few
don't
years
know.
ago,
Yeah.
Barbara, when my ME first became a problem and I was really poorly, I was seeing a nutritionist who put me on an anti-candida diet.
Yeah.
So one of the worst things you could eat would be yeast. And I can't remember the exact name of the recipe book, but it was either an Optimum Nutrition one or a Food Doctor one. It was something like that. But I also bought an anti-candida recipe book, and I'm sure there were at least a couple of bread type recipes in there. They weren't like a big proper full risen loaf that we would naturally call bread, but probably the closest thing to bread I've found that doesn't have
Yeah.
yeast in were available in those. I've tried those rye breads and some strange ones from bakers, and I just can't get on with them. I either find them really bitter or really malty tasting. But yeah, if you look for maybe an anti-candida bread on Google just to start with, so it doesn't cost anything, there might be some on there. I know that the one my husband used to make for me, they used live yogurt rather than yeast. I think that seemed to make a difference.
Yeah, you could try that. I think sometimes it's just finding alternatives to bread, full stop. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't eat a lot of bread. So, I mean, I just maybe once a month I'll make a sandwich. You know, because I am there's so many other things to eat. I'm out of that. You know, it's just like cereal. You know, we might have granola or muesli, but you know, I can't remember the last time I bought a breakfast cereal, like a cornflakes or something, because I just don't eat that. So it's finding different things that's going to fuel how you need to be.
I'm very limited.
Yeah, very, very at the moment.
What I can
Very
eat,
limited.
I am very, very limited on what I can eat.
Yeah, yeah. Which does make meal planning really difficult, but it means spending time and you know finding things that you can have, duplicating those and going outside of it. I mean, I'm recently helping this one lady you know diagnosed with breast cancer and again we are she's had a lot of testing, a lot of allergies, lots of biome things coming up, very very restricted diet, but that's just what it is at the moment, and you know getting great results. So it you have to look at it kind of month by month and split them up, Lavinia, you know, and see where you can get, and if you can keep moving forward with that, yeah, you'll get there.
Tracy, do you still have Emmy?
Anyone?
Do you still have Emmy?
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said any, not ME. Yeah, I do. I was diagnosed 15 years ago now. I got probably back to 75, 80% of where I was before I got poorly. Never been back to 100%, despite going into massive debt, trying every therapy you can possibly imagine. But I was running a relatively normal life. And then 2 years ago, I collapsed at work. And that was it, another 3 months off, and then only back to limited work to get back to what is now probably about 80% again. So no, I've never fully recovered. I've had to learn how to manage my energy levels. I know what does and doesn't serve me. I don't always listen to my body. I don't always do what I know to be the right thing. But yeah, it's hard.
I have lower lying Emmy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. If ever you want to talk about it offline, it's been a long 15 years or so now. So I've learnt an awful lot. I'll support you if I can.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Okay, ladies, thank you, thank you. So remember, there's not going to be one next week. I'm having some time off. Oh my God, can you believe it? I know. I've actually decided to take a couple of days off. So I'm having off tomorrow and Thursday. I'm working a little bit on Friday, but it's my wedding anniversary. And so I'm seeing, two very ill clients that I can't not see because I might not see them the next week. And then having the weekend off and having 2 days off next week. So I'm wishing everybody a wonderful, wonderful long weekend. As always, I'm here to support. So if there's any questions, health, wellness, business, ping them over to me, which is wonderful. And I'm really happy to help. But I'll keep up with the posting and bits and pieces to make sure everyone's on track as well. But make sure you get some proper self-care in this weekend. Okay, recharge your batteries because I think September is going to be really busy. So time to do it now, which is great. So I will see everyone again soon. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
That's some great time.
Thank
off.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.